Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, let's get into the good stuff so far. This is when Allie is about to sit there and shoot Trip because, well, you already know why. And then Ava comes up and snatches the gun from her. And then Allie looks like an idiot. She looks like an idiot. All that bravado, all that anger, all that whatever just went right out the window. And at one point, Ava was like, put your hands in the air, like take your hands out your pocket, put your hands in the air. And she stood there and looked with an attitude. I was like, you can't be this dumb. This woman has a gun pointed at you, and she said, hey, put your hands in the air. And she gives her an attitude. I'm like, you know what, Ava, can you just shoot her on principle at this point? Just do it, in this way it'll put everybody out of their misery of seeing this woman again. Obviously, if you couldn't already tell, I'm not a fan of Allie. Not a fan of Allie at all. So they talk a little bit, and Allie's all like, oh, well, he raped me, and yada, 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 and, Ava asked Trip, like, yo, did you do it? He's like, no. Like, well, that's proof enough for me. And so she's about to shoot her, but then Trip, saves her life. He saves her life. I'm like, you know what, Trip? I mean, I probably would have did the same thing. Not because clearly I don't like her, but, well, I just have other ways of getting back at people. And I don't think death is the answer. I think that's too much of a shortcut. No. So I agree with Trip as far as, like, making sure that Ava didn't shoot her. And, Ava was like, you know what, listen, you should be lucky. He just saved you. He was like, get out. Now she leaves. She's like, oh, wait, one more thing. So, it's not really my gun, and it's kind of my grandma's, and I need it back. Just let that sink in for a minute. The person who had a gun on you decides to let you leave. And you say, oh, by the way, I don't want to get in trouble, so I kind of need the gun back. I couldn't write that myself. I couldn't. So, yeah, she said that. I stood there. Like, millions of people who actually watched it and was like, you gotta be effing kidding me. So, she pretty much just like, just get the hell out. And she did. So, at that point, Trip is sitting there talking to Ava and, just kind of catching up and, telling the reason why she went into hiding and she, couldn't really reveal herself. And, at some point Trip was like, so, since you're alive, we can kind of get Joey out. I mean, I know he kind of like killed her and everything, but, you're alive, so, And at this point, Ava's like, nope, that dude can stay right where he's at. So, they talk some more, and at some point, Trip was like, I gotta tell Steve. Gotta tell him, he's been riding with me up until this far. I gotta sit there and let him know the truth. So, at this point, she's pretty much like, fine, whatever. And then Steve comes walking around the door like he just saw a ghost. So, yeah. Now, let's get to Trip. Let's get to Steve. Because Steve did something that clearly I was disappointed by. So Kayla gives Steve an ultimatum, and it's like, listen, he gotta go. I can't be in the same house as him. I'm not gonna be sitting there tripping over my feelings. Yada, yada, yada. He gotta go. And I'm sitting there like, alright, so Steve, I mean, we're on the same page about this. I mean, you obviously gonna sit there and tell this woman to kick rocks because, you know, your children, you know, you put your children first. Like, always. No matter what. We're on the same page about this, right? Alright, go. I'll let you handle this. And he's all like, well, you know, how am I gonna sit there and tell him, you know, how am I gonna sit there and just walk in there and tell him that? I mean, how am I gonna just ask him to leave? And I'm like, I'm sitting up there like, Steve, you're not, I'm not hearing where this is going, Steve. I'm not liking this. What are you doing? I'm pretty sure you're supposed to, I'm looking at the script right here. My script would be like, tell this woman to kick rocks. Were you just improvising at this point? So finally, he's like, alright, fine. You know, I just gotta sit there and tell him, you know, you've been with me. You didn't really ask me for much. Now, okay. I'm gonna sit there and play a little bit of... I should really get some more water. I'm gonna play a little bit of Devil's Advocate. Because I understand that there's two sides to the story. And I get where Kayla's coming from, you know? And she doesn't want to feel like... It's not like she doesn't love the guy. It's not like she doesn't love Trip or anything like that. But, you know, between her own personal experiences, the science to back it up, and the fact that every single time she shouldn't have to sit there and be in this awkward situation with, you know, Trip every time that she comes in there. And the problems that she's having with Steve because of Trip... It's not fair to her. So I understand where she's coming from. I get it. I get where she's coming from. Still, like, you should choose your children over your own, you know, over pretty much everything else in this world. But, yeah. You know, at the end of the day, Steve is still my favorite character. He just... You know, sometimes they, you know, they do things that you don't necessarily agree with, it is what it is. And with that being said, let's go to my other favorite part of this episode, and that is the Xander and Sarah stuff. Now, let the record show that when I first started watching this show, and I heard about what Xander did to Sarah, I was like, oh, you gotta be out your damn mind. I mean, listen, I'm starting to like Xander a lot more. But I can't get over what he did to Sarah. And I can't get over the idiotic excuses and the things that he was saying to Sarah to try to justify his actions. And you know those episodes I'm talking about. Not getting over that. But with that being said, it still was the second most interesting part of this episode. So at some point, you know, when Sarah gets done talking to Xander, like, everything's all cool and everything, like, the walls don't have ears or anything, she decides to, you know, give him the riot act or whatever when Philip walks in the door. They start talking, and, you know, Sarah's all like, hey, could you get yourself some food or whatever, and we'll work on this little project. So Philip leaves, and Sarah starts working to try to get information out of Philip's laptop. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Did we not just go over this, like, I don't know, an episode before or 2 episodes before, when Charlie got caught by Philip lurking through his laptop? Have we learned nothing? Does no one not bother to sit there and it's so much of an open space that anyone could walk in. Not just Philip. Hell, if Maggie was home, Maggie could have been like, what are you doing? You know? So, I don't really understand. Like, by the way, on a side note, and I should, you know, I want to sit there and ask, so Maggie is, you know, Sarah is Maggie's mother. And Philip is Victor's son. So wouldn't that make Philip and Sarah stepbrothers and sisters? Like step-siblings? So, I mean, listen, I get they're not related by blood, but like, is Xander really just gonna be all like, nah, that's cool. We should hook up. Even though our parents are married. That just seems so wrong. And I'm gonna throw in a little thing that probably won't make any sense to anyone towards the end if I remember. But with that being said, you know, Sarah's went there snooping and going through Philip's laptop or whatever, trying to copy data. Philip walks back in the room and Philip's like, what the hell are you doing on my laptop? The second person has been in my laptop. You want to keep that thing a little more closer? But whatever, okay, fine. So, you know, she's all like, what, you know, he's all like, what are you doing? And Sarah's like, oh, I'm just working on stuff, you know, for the concert and for the benefit. And when Philip looks at the computer, he sees everything that Sarah's talking about. And I'm like, well played, Sarah. Well played. I mean, at that point, I was like, yo, is this chick serious? And then when she covered her tracks, I was like, wow. I feel kind of dumb now. Just a little bit. I was like, well played, Sarah. Well played. I'm very impressed. So at this point, you know, it satisfied Philip or whatever, and then, you know, Philip is all like, oh, I gotta go, and Sarah's like, oh, you might want to leave your laptop here so I can keep working. Sarah, let's not push our luck, okay? You did good. Don't push it. And Philip was like, no, you can use Maggie's tablet. So with that being said, you know, at one point when Philip was outside, he was sitting there telling Ava that, you know, I'm really close to, you know, getting the goal done so this way we can, you know, launder your money and stuff like that. Does the walls in the house not have ears? You know, never mind. So anyway, he heads out and he's going, and Sarah decides to take the flash drive and go right to where Xander's staying. Now earlier, Xander was sitting there talking to Maggie, talking about the breakup and everything like that, and you know, he sold the story pretty well. You know, because at first, you know, Maggie was like, so I'll just talk to your daughter. I'll just talk to my daughter, work it out, and you know, Xander was like, no, don't do that. Because, you know, we gotta work it out ourselves, you know. So he sold the story pretty well. He went back to his, you know, his hotel or whatever. And Sarah comes right there. I'm sitting there thinking, this is the second time that Xander was like, yo, we really shouldn't be, like, talking or seeing each other. What are you doing? You know that Philip can sit there and find us at any point in time. And, you know, Sarah gives him the good news, like, hey, I got some information, so it, you know, it pacified Xander. But I'm not gonna lie, when Xander answered the door and he saw Sarah, he was like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, but they got the information, whatever information that's on there, which, given that it's soap operas, I feel like it's going to drag out longer, but hopefully because it's days and it's not GH, they may kind of, you know, get something off of the laptop and it won't just be corrupted data or whatever BS excuse that they may come up with. Now, we'll get to the other part of Ava and Allie stuff. So when Allie comes back to see Nicole. This is after Nicole had her meeting or whatever. And she talks to Nicole and she's all like, oh, well, you know, I tried to pull a gun on a trip, but, you know, I didn't get to use it. And, you know, Nicole's like, you know, violence is never the answer and yada, yada, yada. And I'm sitting there thinking, Nicole, you should go a lot harder on Allie. What the... You know what? This is the reason why she does what she does. Shame on you, Nicole. Shame on you. But Allie was like, I did not shoot him, because at first she was like, oh, well, I heard the story of Lucas and how my mother sat there and tried to get justice, and I want to be strong just like my mother. Allie, God damn it. You are not a 12-year-old little girl. You heard a story about somebody doing something, you thought it was a good idea? I shouldn't have to tell people how stupid that sound and how dumb that sound coming out of her mouth. But, yeah, a lot of... You know what, never mind. So after she's like, hey, listen, I didn't do it because I'm a good person or whatever, I just didn't do it because I didn't get the chance. And that's when she informs Nicole that Ava is back in town and she's alive. Now we'll get to somewhat of the boring part of the episode. Somewhat. Listen, I think I already made my feelings known about how I feel about Chloe. So with that being said, it could be the most boringest scene in the world, and I'm just like, she looks so damn good that I don't care. And that sounds really bad. That sounds really shallow. And I know I'm going to sit there and probably look back at this video and be like, you should care. Because, and granted, she is more than just looks. Like, she does seem like she has a good personality, from what people have told me. And, yeah. So, listen, I felt like it was going to be a boring scene anyway. But at least Chloe is, well, she's Chloe. So, I hope I'm saying her name right. Because if I'm not, please correct me. Anyway, all they pretty much did was catch up. All three of them caught up. And then Philip, and then Brady and Chloe caught up about what's been going on with her and all that stuff. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie, really wasn't much to it. But then towards the fact that she, I guess she was walking around or whatever, she was walking back to the hotel or whatever, she passed by Philip. And, she has this surprised look on her face, and Philip has that smug, entitled smirk on his face. And it pretty much ends there. I don't really think I missed too much of anything. Maggie talked to Kayla, and Kayla was distracted, because Kayla feels bad for making, Steve choose her over his son. Which she should. She should. Even if she's in the right, even knowing I understand where she's coming from, she should still feel bad. And with that being said, that's pretty much about it. I've said this in the comment section, but I'm just gonna sit there and say it, just right out and open. Listen, I get that Philip has his charming side, and, according to people, he's good looking and stuff, but, like, I mean, Chloe is, and I hate saying this, I really do hate saying this, but, I really feel like in a lot of ways, Chloe is out of Philip's league. Like, by a lot. Because of, not really so much of his looks, but because of his personality. I mean, seriously, you are giving man-childs over the world hope. That at some point in time, that through all their BS, through all their crap, that they can sit there and reach for the stars and get a woman like Chloe. That's not good for so many reasons. And with that being said, that's actually just, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought. Also, if you could, share this video, because it does help. I'm actually starting to notice a little bit more views, which is great. Not just for the views, just because people are actually liking, you know, these videos. And I really appreciate that because I love doing them. You know, I love talking about soap operas. I love exploring the different characters, their motivations, their ups, their downs, their whys. You know, I'm not gonna lie, my favorite video so far is the Bold and the Beautiful one of Please Don't Be a Sally. I still love that video. And at some point, when I start to get more subscribers and actually start making, you know, money off of YouTube, I want to actually go back and start watching Bold and the Beautiful. And I want to start watching Young and the Restless. I know that's a lot to watch, but I love watching soap operas. I love watching the characters and how they interact with each other. And I always look at it like this. Whenever sometimes, you know, my friends will sit there and look at me oddly, oh, you watch soap operas or whatever. I'm like, well, technically a lot of stuff is a soap opera. The Flash, all of their CW shows is a soap opera. Riverdale is a soap opera. It's a teen soap opera, but it's a soap opera. And I decided not to make that reference because it wouldn't have really made any sense towards this episode. But it has something to do with Riverdale and the fact that certain people are kind of cousins by long extensions, and yet they played mattress tag and wound up having twins. So I just don't understand why Philip would actually want to go out with Sarah, knowing that they are step brothers and sisters. I mean, they're not blood, but still. Unless I'm wrong. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. But I always, like I said, I always feel like a lot of shows, even today, you know, have that core soap opera themes. You know, I look at, let's say The Flash. You know, there's drama, there's action, there's romance, there's love interest. You know, you can consider it to be a teen soap opera or a superhero soap opera, but it still falls in those categories of soap operas. So, you know, I always sit there and look at it and I'm like, well, a lot of stuff is a soap opera. Hell, even The Boys on Amazon is a soap opera. So yeah, that's just my little, some of my reasons why I enjoy doing what I do as far as making videos about soap operas and reviews and stuff like that. And if you made it this far, thank you for listening to my rant. Have a great weekend. And yeah, I'll see everyone in the next review.